Cassandra Gaines is here from Oklahoma, and she is really the founder of the Soul Food Cook-Off. Mm-hmm. And she is going to talk to us today about greens being made with chicken stock, and then she's got some really wonderful samples for us of greens with turkey. Mm-hmm. So I turn it over to Cassandra Gaines.
Before I get started, I want to thank Liz William with Southern Food and Beverage and Amy with the French Market for inviting me to come down and participate with the French Market during the Essence Festival. My demonstration will be on cooking healthy. If you see my picture right there, I'm like 85 pounds lighter, but it's still eating soul food. But what I did was I turned around and started eating much healthier. If you watched anything on PBS back in January, you saw Soul Food Junkie with Byron Hurt. I was one of the co-producers of that movie, that documentary, and what he did was he went around the U.S. interviewing different ones with soul food, how we like soul food, how we prepare soul food, and where did soul food come from. And so when I was down here and got on the board of Southern Food and Beverage, I told her I was coming out with the cookbook. And she said that would be something that we could do during the French Market. So again, I want to thank her. How many of you all cook from scratch? Anybody? Okay. Anybody cook? Okay. Oh, you raised your hand up. You said you cook from scratch. Tell me, because I have audience participation when I demonstrate. Okay, tell me, for those young cooks that don't know, what is cooking from scratch? Can you give her the mic, Liz?
Hi. Starting from the basics.
Start from the basics.
Whatever it is that you get basically, and you put it all together.
Exactly. That's what you do.
Just cook it from
scratch. Do you cook greens?
Yes.
Do you get your greens out of the can, or do you use frozen greens?
Fresh greens.
Or do you go to the garden and pick your greens?
No, where we live.
Where are you from?
Pensacola, Florida.
Pensacola, Florida.
Yes.
Okay.
So I do from the grocery store. I get it fresh, and we have farmers that come from Walnut Hills, and they bring fresh greens to this particular grocery store.
Okay. Well, what'd you say?
Right.
You got a French market as well?
Fresh market.
Fresh market.
Yes.
Okay. Well, I'm going to show you. This is mustard greens, and we have several different types of mustard greens, and this is the curly type. And I'm going to demonstrate on how you pick them, then we're going to wash them. I'm just going to do one bunch, you all, because the young people don't know nothing about. See, we used to be in the kitchen on Saturday. My grandmother, my aunt used to be in the kitchen on Saturdays and be prepping for Sunday dinner. They didn't go to the store and get a can of greens. They got greens from the garden, or like you said, from the fresh market, or from somebody else's house that grew a garden. And we picked them and we washed them. But if you notice, back then, when the pot was boiling, they had either salt pork, fat back, ham hocks, all the above in the pot boiling. Right now, I just have water because I'm cooking healthy. Then when they cook, they usually put the greens on. They poured some bacon drippings that was already that they cooked bacon that morning, they saved the bacon dripping, and then they put the bacon dripping on top of the greens that gave it some flavor, okay? And it was fattening. But you still can do that. And when you taste these greens over here, you'll see what I'm talking about. So I'm picking the greens, and we really try to keep the tradition soul food going. You know, I tell young ladies and men, you know, during the holidays, that's when everybody want to cook food because we don't have time during the week. So when we feed our kids, it's fast foods. But when you go to your grandma's house, some grandma's house, you're getting home-cooked meals. But during the holidays, I guarantee you, you're getting it. And then your kids don't want to eat because their palate is not familiar with fresh, home-cooked meal. Then you want to spank him because he didn't get all his food and he don't get no dessert. Well, he's not used to eating that type of food. So my thing is, we need to get back into the habit. And if you see Michelle Obama, that is what she's trying to do, is get into the habit of cooking healthier. And we eating healthy from the table. So you notice I took the yellow leaves out. And for those that is fighting cancer, any type of greens, I did my homework. Collard greens, mustard greens, kale, Brussels sprouts, cabbage, any of those type of vegetables like that are cancer fighters. So I'm washing my greens, and if I was at home, I would wash them 3 times until the water come clear. But since I'm doing a demonstration here, we're going to do what we can do and just give you the flavor. So I done finished that. You see my pot is boiling. I'm going to add my greens to this pot. I'm going to add some Swanson's. Now, they didn't sponsor me, but I'm going to use them. Some chicken soup base. This has the salt in it, and this is what gives it flavor. Now, if you like spice, and I know you do, I add black pepper to it. I add garlic powder to it. And back in the day, we didn't measure. We just sprinkle a little bit in there and start tasting it until we got it right. And if you get my cookbook, I might, in one page, a little bit of this and a little bit of that. But normally, it's either a teaspoon or a half a teaspoon or a tablespoon or whatever. And I'll sprinkle just a little red pepper to give it a kick. Not a lot, just a little red pepper. And I put onion. So the key to seasoning your food is just using a lot of herbs and spices. You don't have to go with all the greens, the fat back. And if you use butter or margarine, I prefer butter, you don't need a whole stick. You use a whole stick, you can use a half a stick, 2 tablespoons, or whatever. And you cut your onion, as Emerald say, in it. And you stir it up. And when I was a kid growing up, They used to cook greens all day. All day. It don't take all day to cook greens. You can cook greens within 45 minutes. When you cook them all day, that takes out the flavor. You cook them until they are good and tender, and that's it. And then you can eat your cornbread, your hot water cornbread, your oven cornbread. How many of you all know about hot water cornbread? By a show of hands. You know about how you know about hot? Your grandmother cooked you some hot water cornbread? You cooked some hot water cornbread? Who showed you how to cook some hot water cornbread? You from Shreveport, so you was in the kitchen when your grandmother was showing you how to cook. See, that's the tradition that I'm talking about. Keeping the tradition going, but changing the way we cook. When I was a kid, you know, and everybody know, we wasn't trying to learn back then. The older we got, that's when we learned, you know. But it's nothing like, anytime I travel, I try to find a soul food restaurant somewhere, because somewhere they have their own flavor of doing things. When we started the Soul Food Cook-Off about 9 years ago, we started traveling down south, and I wasn't looking for the chefs. I was not looking for the chefs. So when I put that money out there, I was looking for the people that was at home cooking that don't nobody know nothing about, because those are the cooks. So when I put price tag first place winner, $1,000 or $2,000 in the meat category, they was coming out the woodworks. And you were seeing the art, because it is an art, when they get in there and cook. When we was down in Jackson, Mississippi, during the Soul Food Cook-Off about a year ago, 2 years ago, we had like 40 to 50 contestants. And we was in orientation, because anytime I do a Soul Food Cook-Off, I do an orientation, the rules and regulations. So we was in orientation, and it was about, like I said, about 30, 40 women. All of a sudden, the door opened up, and here come the elders that entered the contest. I thought they were young women, and there was about 6 of them. And the young women said, "We in trouble now." And I said, "You in trouble?" She said, "Them ladies can cook." She said, "They cook, we fix." I said, "What's the difference?" There's a big difference. They know how to cook, we just fix. I said, so the day of, she was right. They had oxtails and rice. They had smothered chicken. They had cornbread, collard greens, candied yams. And you talk, oh, it was delicious. The young ladies had macaroni and cheese, but they had Kraft. These ladies over here had homemade mac and cheese. So it's a difference from fixing and cooking. What's the best what? Usually I use just chicken soup broth, peppers and onions, and collard greens. Now, me personally, I'm a mustard green person, not a collard green. But if you notice, if anywhere you go to get greens, you very seldom get a mustard green in a store, in a restaurant. You get a spinach or collard greens, because it takes so much. See, this pot is made with love, because I had to pick 17 gallons to get what I got right here. So in order to make a profit, in people that have restaurants, they prefer to do collard greens because it stretches. It's like a cabbage. It stretches, you know. But, you know, and it's more coarse. Mustard and turnips and kale is a lightweight green. Yeah, but the turnips and kale and mustard are lightweight. But if you go in any restaurant, you can get collards anywhere. Collard greens. It's on everybody's menu, they got collard greens.